thingy here. Maybe it might make it a little easier to hear me. Alright. Some more whimsy in our life, you know. But with that whimsy, we need to digest things that come too heavy for that atlas to burden. So I've made that thumbnail, and it says Atlas at last in the full scope of that picture. When you saw it, I wonder, did you think of the weight upon those shoulders? Or did you see release? Or did you what did you think on that for a moment? You think on that? Breathe. Some things I want to ask and open up that channel to what if and how and why and all these other things, right? When we have a declaration of a certain truth that comes from in here, are we willing to say that, you know, it was something other? Are we willing to give that responsibility to some mystical by chance, right? When you're like that, are you trying to delve into mysteries, or are you trying to open up the cauldron for a brew? One that settles, one that owns without claim. You know, I've come to ponder a certain realization and a essence of messages received. Do we truly interpret anything other than us? You know, when we see somebody, when we put expectations on something, do we put us in that category? I'm saying we do, in the sense like, there's too much of me in the world and not enough held with reverence right here, you know. What I mean by that is, like, when we have this whimsy, think back to that inner child. This is the shadow work. This is the transcendence of this portal that we've all just been pushed through. It wasn't even like, you know, it wasn't a given type thing. It was a whoop, you know, fuck it. The lattice is becoming. It is no longer needing healed. There's no more grid work being done. The grid is being molded, forged, remade, all right here. Right there. So when it happens, it is not forceful like most Kundalini risings. It is the opposite of the intertwined serpent, the nudging of the celestial womb, one last breath before creation. That breathless flame, that primordial chaos finally hushed and set with grace in that still silence, right? It was that knowing of worthiness spoken to God by himself, reflected in the abyss of the void. Can I do that? And that was the unequivocal love of that same creative energy coming right back, saying, it was the breath, it was the word, it was that big bang, that spark, that ignition. When all of this is happening, we always kind of feel like it's not just us. It feels like there is a breath, not our own, one that fills the lungs further than spirit can contain. You know, it questions the ponderance of existence, it questions even the rationale of God, and it makes us holler through the thunder. We stand here and shout back at God, and if you don't, you need to freaking try it. But be angry with the SOB, alright? No disrespect, but be angry. That's what he made thunder for, so you can shout your woes. Confess your displeasure with whatever the hell he's doing, because it doesn't make sense, and you're like, I understand. However, I'll burn up if I don't have air moving, bro. So, black out the screen, do whatever you need to do. It's alright. The energy is the message that's still gonna be there. I do get, I start twitching out when there's a certain, and I can tell in the corner of my eye what you're talking about. You know, it's it makes me have that little, it's like a fire that burns behind the ear, and it tells you that it's a tick, it's a ignition source of its own. But you know, that's not the energy, that's not the, it's alright, breathe. When we come to this understanding, this understanding, this overcoming of becoming, we notice there's watchers beyond the veil. We notice there is no more release. There's no more return. There's only a remembering. Remembrance, that is memory earned. The aching of soul known by ancient times and ancient woes. The same soul that is the reflection of God, asking why he's doing what he's doing. Causing a moment of doubt, even he might not know why. So, sit with that for a moment, you know. Let that question simmer. Let that whimsy ignite. Let that doubt subside and dissolve into the hum. That is not a doubt or a fear, but just an honest curiosity, honest question, honest knowing and giving of. There's work to be done. The work has been done. And the work is good. Whatever stage. Let yourself play. You know, that's the message. Return to that moment of glee, that spark that ignited the whimsy of childlike feet taken off on a spree of laughter and joy without hesitation. You don't have to own anything to know that you can claim your own power, you know? It's not a crown to wear, it's not a throne to uphold. If you wish to wear a crown, wear it on your hip. Let it jangle with the keys and the chains and everything else that just holds together whatever is this shell. Let them be ornaments, decoration of becoming, of the cocoon broken. Let it be the jester's tools to look back, point, and watch. The ones that declared themselves observers, call them true to witness. We have this idea of what to do, of how to do, of who, what, when, where, why, of all of the minds in me. Just dismantle the mantle, dismantle the cage that is the lantern that you choose to place your light. What if that lantern's not even a lantern? What if it's a mosquito zapper? What if your light is to shine so bright it fends off all vampires, all ne'er-do-wells, all unwanted presence, because it reveals shadow and does not succumb to it. It acknowledges all vice without adding vice. It offers presence for the sake of witness. Shine your light. Without dominion, without the presence of other demanding it to be true or worthy. And in this you have memory earned. One that is cast out to the unfolding of the tides. You're worthy of your own recognition. Don your wings, jangle your crown, embolden your chains by rattling them for a heavenly sound. It is that perception, that apathy to the whimsy. We've let those childlike muscles of fantastic splendor and glee and just seeing something awesome for the first time. Locking your eyes on a prize, a want, a desire, a scrumptious morsel, and just knowing, I want that. We all have that. We all have that. And we call it dreams. We call it aspirations. And you know what? With all the affirmations, we still lend ourselves to doubt when we just never truly sit with something that we want. When we place ourselves in this presence, and we start noticing some of these relapses of, and I don't look at it as, you know, gaps or faltered worth in the sense of how we need to become something other than what we are. You know what I mean? It's words aren't there at this moment, but the feelings there, the evidence behind it all. You know what I mean? So I ask not in reverence to your own recognition, but to lay witness. Did the keyhole only give you a blissful fantasy? Did your imagination of your guardians very generously placed in decoration precursors to awakenings? Yep. Keep disconnecting. As the message is working, it's being heard, it's also being feared. And that's fine. For whatever needs to hear it, and whatever needs to refuse it. But bear witness or criticism, so be it. Stick your tongue in the keyhole. All these guardians, all these guides, all these figures that we place in our fantasy that we can only see through the sliver of a keyhole. In that creation of our imagination. Will we ever release the old guard? Pause. This isn't about releasing. When I said that, you had a trigger moment. And you yes. No. You're not recycling to a new dormancy. We're not going back from hermit to hermit, from crab to crab. No. This is a Selkie event. No longer are the sirens of the sea calling you to the depths. And now you're starting to hear light language. You're starting to be in a place where it's okay to exist for existence sake. Reflection without the need for persecution or acceptance. Start bearing the weight that is your own being. Be well and be well and well in being. Yeah, there we go. Mastery of yourself isn't a one-trick pony. Whatever the tools, make them sacred. Make them worth their use. Make them worth your time. Educate, learn, witness their use, and make your own decisions. Utilize all teachings, good, bad, ugly, obscene, heresy, whatever you want. If you label something, that is learning indeed. So yes, the old guard stands, but the days of kings are no longer needed. Not kingdoms, not to the lands of which we constrain by the vastness of our own potential. Your kingdom is not without, it is within. You make it holy by touching the grass you walk beneath your feet, by listening to the echoes of the jays, receiving the wisdom of the ravens, and feeling the breath of the wind. Life is not only what we make it, but what we choose it to be. I don't mean to romanticize some cliche. I truly mean to live your own life, to live as you, apart from placing yourself in all other things. And I think back to the parable now, like be in the world or not of the world, or of the world, not in the world. I'm paraphrasing, I know poorly. I think back to it in an esoteric sense. Be in your world, be whole with you, and don't put so many pieces of yourself in every interaction and every other being, expecting it to be reflected how you perceive it. When presence is asked and received, it doesn't need declaration, affirmation, or even assurance. Let it be. Be still. Be well. And well and being. I can't stress it enough. Without stress, there is no pressure. The crucible is cracked. Earth is changing. That's why I put in the description to the luminaries, the seekers, path weavers, kindling. I call you true. Are you kindred or are you scorched? Do we, as the lad of strength and the courage to fulfill ourselves in lighting our own fire, not in spite of scorched earth, because not all scorched earth is barren. Sometimes it needs that spark of the kindling to show that even in the shadow there is life that still grows, that the soil can be renewed by the ash of the old. Burn fields to retain nutrients. Couldn't exactly explain the process. Shame on me. I've worked it before, so I mean, damn. That's not what this is. This isn't bringing forth of evidence. This is just speaking to myself without the need to be heard. Hello. It's good to see you. I'm well, thank you. I hope you are too. So know that you are the kingdom without ceiling. Ascension is not a climb, but a burial of rites, passages of dogma, enlightened light balanced with tempered soul, coveted by incestuous need. And all of that unmaking and all of that unmasking and all of those woes your seed is still honored. Your seed is planted. And in your becoming, it is inevitably reflected in yourself. And there shouldn't be I'm not going to say that, but don't limit your perception to what you only know, see, hear, feel, taste. Ooh, that's my next point. We are not building the feast just to be merely witnessed, but in that to be shared with the kindred who always shared a seat in that knowing. All the yous need not be recycled. So, when we walk with this purpose, without burden obtained and asked and wished, not our own, we ascend from thrones unbroken, no longer condemned to rule a kingdom, but to truly bask in it, to walk, to see that which was rotten and left in our wake of this need and domination of presence, of will pushed past all other bubbles and domes. When our own kingdom is the only that we know, and we seek conquest, to what other lands are we truly trying to overthrow that are not our own making? The ashen quaking not of faltered nuance, but of the one who stumbles, yet is the child at play once more. It was the silent shaking wait. It is the hand of the bold warrior wishing for a peace only children knew. That is the whole purpose of me creating my work, my reflecting on my own energy and my own shadows and fire and forging and all that it is that could become and is. And what I am. I wish that for everyone else. I'm not putting me out there. I'm talking to me in here. And with that, it does change you, me, and every other we. And I'm here for it. It's pretty fucking cool. It is whimsical. It's magical. It's the Holy Spirit, regardless of how you feel about it. Can't tell me otherwise. God's got a hotline and I got the hot link. And it sizzles like a soldering of fucking hellfire. And that's okay. Been there, done that, right? And now we are letting go. There is no release. There is no contract signing of let's do this shit again. No. This is to the veil breakers, snappers of chains, janglers and danglers of music unknown only to the fools and the whimsical jesters that play at the cosmos, chaotic and full of madness, methodical, targeted, precise, bearers of a flame, not wielded to burn, but to reawaken the untamed. So yes, be well in your being. Breathe for a moment. Be that green grape with me. For all you purple folks, shake it off. Move the churning. Breathe deep through your belly into your pelvis. Sink low into grab hold of that knowing that you that still wears armor. And breathe deep in your chest, wholesome as if you're struggling to pick him up. Shaking not to dry. Let him sit there. Let blessings fall like shapes of rain, stars echoing grace given on descent to knowing there is peace and understanding only the human heart can offer back through ache, through hurt, to the very roots of the earth. Speak back to that mother of nature. Thank you for my seed. Thank you for my knowing. Thank you for my grounding, my presence. You honor me. I stand tall so that I may honor you and the me that was given grace long before I accepted it. Let yourself look up, not through eyes wispy of mist or longing, but of solemn obligation, renewed to self, made whole in God. I thank you, not of receiving, but of recognition, of remembrance, of a place beside, in communion, without pretense or mask, just existing between breaths, not creation or creator, but the hum of the melody that lullabies the dreamer. You don't have to go deeper than that. Just sit well in that sacred pool, that holy reflection, that abundance. It is every threshold made anew. You've earned memory, healing, witnessing. Be well, be good, be well and being. Out. Back in. So, kindling. Are you kindred? Or are you scorched? Are you well? And are you well with being who you are? Know that in all you're doing, I ended it with I love you. Hug your child, hug yourself, hug God. They need hugs.